Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Poker's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. We say the things on here that nobody else dare say. Can we give a big shout out to our sister channel, Poker's International, and give Gary at Welcome Estates a shout out. They've got a boxers in need, good scheme going on over there, and there's thousands into it. So have a look at that. Welcome Estates online. All right. We're joined by Terry. Women love him. Men want to be him. How are you doing, Terry?
All right, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm nicking Jerry's lines for you, Terry.
Who's Jerry?
Jerry who comes on channel. You know Jerry from Ireland?
No, I hope you're not Jerry Adams.
No, wait, long hair. Jerry.
Ah.
Women love him. Men want to be him.
I thought that was Kent.
That's Kent as well. I need some new gags, don't I? I'm going downhill. How are you? You all right?
Mate, yeah. All right, mate. Just absolutely sweltering, man. You know, it's about 27 degrees in the flat at the moment.
So, you're working from home today, lad?
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, would I?
You what, mate?
Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, would I? It'd be awkward doing this in the office.
Tell me about it. So, what's been going on down there? How's Rico doing anyway? I don't even know if I've got Rico's number in my new phone, actually. Rico, email me.
Come see me.
Yeah. Come see me, Rico. Rico's out at boxing game like Julian, isn't he? Terry, they're dropping like flies. What's going on?
Oh, mate, but boxing's just not delivering.
Where we going?
It's a wrap, really. Like, if you look at what we're doing now, we're just selling the family silver. So, like a year and a half from now, what's going to be left? There's going to be no fights you want to see. People just sort of drift away into other things. But it feeds into this wider thing. I just don't think people care that much about anything anymore. I think this is the first year we're seeing the effects of the pandemic now.
So what?
Of the pandemic.
Right.
We're finally seeing the effects of it. Like, people don't have the money they used to. So if you look at Joshua versus Dubois, that's not a sellout. Like, they're really pushing hard to sell tickets for that. When 5 years ago, that's a sellout. And people just haven't got the money to spend anymore. I don't know if you've noticed, Russ, but people selling houses now because cost of living's killing them. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're entering a very dark place as a country. And the sad thing is people are protesting about immigrants when that's not the problem at all. We're messed up as a country. And what's about to happen, in my opinion, Russ, is all the smart people under the age of 40 are going to start leaving this country to go elsewhere because living costs are so bad here. You can go to Berlin and have a better life. You can go to Dubai and have a better life. You can go to the States and have a better life than you can here now. And once we start getting that brain drain, this country's done.
Yeah, I was starting to think that myself when I was in Portugal. But you work in banking industry, right? Obviously, you do well for yourself and you've got a good job. So you'll get to know, you'll get to see a lot more things than the man in the street sees. You know what the media print about finance and stuff like that, you'll never agree with it anyway, do you? Because it's bullshit, isn't it, what they're telling us?
Mate, just take a drive anywhere, right? Go down Bawtry Road, go down anywhere nice, right? And go and look at how many for sale signs are now coming up. And every week there are more and more for sale signs.
Yeah.
So houses are staying on the market longer because there are fewer people that can buy them. People are trying to get out because all of a sudden that mortgage you had at 2.5% is now 5.5%. So everyone's now just basically pooed the bed. So everyone's trying to get out. It's like we're entering a very, very dark time, and what's going to have to happen pretty quick is the government are going to have to get a grip on this and find a way to take the heat out of accommodation because, like, people in London are struggling. You know, people can't even afford to buy cars now. You know what? They're having to buy their car and put it on these apps like Turo so someone can rent their car. That's how they're making car payments now. We're struggling as a country right now. And I think you're seeing that in boxing fans who are just like, I don't feel good about where we are as a country. I don't feel good about where we are as a sport. I'm not spending my money on that. And that's where we are.
There's a lot of small action not happening, Terry, isn't there?
A lot of shows announced, then cancelled, and it's hard, right? People just, you can't shift tickets. Like, who's paying 100 quid to go and watch a kid fight a journeyman now? Like, when you've got bills to pay. Do you know what I mean? Like, when steak is 5 quid 75. Like, you haven't got 100 quid to spare. I mean, you're going to McDonald's, like 2 adults, 3 kids, and it's like 27, 28 quid.
Yeah. I noticed that. I took my kids a couple of weeks ago. What do you want? They have the same meal every day. The twins, obviously, but since they've been free, I said, why would we even stop at menu? Because they order the same shit. Chips and chicken nugget meal with fruit shoot. So I just drive by and they go, hey, you stop at menu. I go, for 8 years, you want the same thing. Anyway, I got it. It's like 12, 13 quid, in it, with 2 ice creams. Where's this come from, these prices? They're just plucking numbers out of sky. Like people who come to cut conifers at your house. Landscapers. They just pluck it out of sky like lawyers, don't they?
Yeah, mate, it's crazy. What happens if you look at how our system works? Every year, these companies have to grow by about 10%, right? Or they're considered a failure. But you can't grow 10% every year because it gets hard. That 10% gets harder and harder to achieve. We're now at that point where you're only achieving it by increasing prices, sacking people, because, you know, and I know this is going to kick off in the comments, but Brits like to see themselves as this really great people that do amazing things, but this country doesn't do anything. Like, we don't dig stuff out the ground. We don't really farm anymore. We don't build anything. I mean, we don't do anything as a country. Like, what Thatcher did is she took us down this road of doing stuff that computers could do at some point, right? Transactions and stuff. You can do that with computers now. What we really need in this country is more engineering, more primary industries, and no one's investing in that because we don't even have the money to invest, mate. If you've got skills that can work anywhere in the world, if you're a builder, whatever, this is the year to get out of this country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, if you've got a trade, you'll be all right.
Just get out here. Go to Saudi.
Okay. Boxing. What's happening with Adam Azine and is it Dalton Smith?
That's what they're going in different directions now, aren't they?
Yeah, but they were making loads of noise about Adam Azine and Dalton Smith, weren't they? And it looks like there's no happening, doesn't it?
Was Adam Azim injured? Is that why we haven't seen him box for a while?
I don't know. He hasn't been doing much, has he? Another thing. Somebody asked me this morning. Oh, you got Terry Harper and Rihanna Dixon. Who you got?
Ooh. So if you did it on like pedigree, it should be Terry Harper. That should be comfortable. But she hasn't had a good run of late. So where's her confidence at? And if her confidence is low, then I'd back Rihanna Dixon. So I'm just going to be annoying and just back Dixon in this one.
Well, I'm going to go Terry Harper on points in a stinker.
Your favorite fighter.
Well, it's not my favourite fighter, but she's the same postcode as where I'm from, isn't she? So you have to go your own. But it won't surprise me if Rihanna Dixon lit her up, to be honest. But I don't think she's got enough pop in her punches to see Terry off. I don't think she's a bit.
What weight's it happening at?
Lightweight, 9 stone 9, I think.
Oh wow.
You see, my argument is this: Terry started out, didn't she, about a 9 stoner, or was it just under? And then she's gone up to light middle, and now she's back at lightweight. So my argument is, if that would have been a male, there would have been a massive inquiry, wouldn't there, going up and down like that with weights. So why haven't we got this for Terry? Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking the question, are they? None of these YouTubers are going to ask these promoters and their managers about that, are they? Same as they're not going to ask Steffi Bullwise taking 15-year-old girls to Mexico to fight grown-ass women. Nobody were asking that, were they? All these YouTubers with access. So if that were my Ruby being took out there, I'd say to the man, what's going on here? Why have you allowed that to happen? I'd want to go around his house and have a word with him about it. You would, wouldn't you? You said, what's going on here? If parents are not there, even if parents are there, why are you putting a 15-year-old in with grown-ass women? You know,
Were the parents there or not?
I'm not sure. I don't think they were, to be honest. I heard they weren't, but if they were or weren't, who cares anyway? But nobody's mentioning this 15-year-old. But what I have heard happened is that shower down there at Brentwood at Matchroom, they were like, yeah, what about that? That's an angle. They're just going to give Steffi bullets to fire, aren't they? But now he's probably thinking, oh, look at all slaver I've had now being called a wrong'un, running around with kids.
Wait. Haven't we just had protests in Yorkshire about grooming and like no one's even touched on this?
No one's even mentioned it. Grown-ass men taking underage girls to the other end of the world to fight grown-ass women. And not one YouTuber said sweet FA.
Has Thingy got a Has Steffi got his CRB or his DBS check? Is he actually like allowed to be around kids?
He hasn't got a parking ticket, mate, has he? So he'd be all right with that. But nothing untoward's going on. I just don't think it's in good taste. A bit like that with Penfold, wasn't it? We all know what happened there. And everybody were going to do this and do that. 3 years later, what's happened? I'm working on Sky. Isn't that right, Johnny Nelson? Running around crying your eyes out. I am definitely nothing to do with Dave Caldwell. Well, works at Sky with you 3 years later, kid. People in boxing pay lip service at the time because it suits them. You're not bothered about bits of tickle tackle and what's right and wrong. It's boxing, isn't it? You know what I mean? I'm right, I know I'm right. That's why none of the others want to come on here. They don't want to come on here, answer questions like we go about it, do they? They don't want to do that, do they? Because they know I'm going to put it on them. You know what I mean? I will put it on them. This is why probably my channel is not going to get where it wants to get in it. Because I believe in saying my bit, don't I? But there's some boundaries that you don't cross, or I were fetched up as a coal miner's son that you don't cross. And I bring them into boxing. Same as when I was with Big Ron 6 years. There's some things I just don't like, Terry. Do you know what I mean? How you fetched up. People go to bed with an anaconda for £1 now, won't they? Or sell their asses.
You don't have a choice in boxing.
Pardon?
You just don't. You don't have a choice in boxing. The rules are the rules. You either play by them or you don't. Like, boxing will always be like that.
Well, that's what I tell people around here. And if they don't like it, come and knock on the fucking door. Shape I'm in.
Come and see me. Come
Shape
see
I'm
me.
in, kid. You what, mate?
Come see me.
Come see me. I'm a 6-minute miler. Only for 1 mile, though. After that, I think I'm about 11. I go into like slow trot. But the first mile's really good. After that, I'm like, blowing out my ass. Age, it's an age, isn't it? Have you tried jogging? I said to Prox when the last time you jogged, he said, I haven't jogged since Fort Groves. He said, I hated it all them years. And that's part of it, though, isn't it? If you're a boxer, you've got to be a middle distance runner, aren't you? A boxer, you've got to have everything, Terry, aren't you, to be a boxer? But if you ask any boxer what they hate most, they'll say road work, won't they?
Running. If you don't enjoy running, it's horrible. Some boxers love running. Like, you have a kid like Sam Noakes that loves running. Some lads just love running. I don't. Like, I don't see it's not great for me.
I had a chat with Clinton yesterday, about 20 minutes, and we were talking about boxers in need thing. You know, the thing that Gary's set up. He's put thousands of pounds into this for boxers in need. You know, I told you, I think he gave about 16 grand to Chadderton Boxing Club, you know, where he grew up and things like that. So he's helped boxers, and me and Clinton were talking about it. And Clinton's of the opinion that kids nowadays are turning pro and they just feel that they're entitled to sponsors and stuff like that. So Clinton said, look, when I were a pro boxer, he says, I was British Commonwealth, a European champion, WBC #1 ranked for Roy Jones's belt when he was like the Mayweather of the day. So he's ready to fight Jones in a mandatory fight, or then he's pushed for it, didn't he? And he never had one sponsor. And he was plastering it days. And he used to look at it like this. I do my run in the morning, go to work plaster, and aspire at night. Because your strength and conditioning isn't day, innit, if you're a plasterer. And it worked for him. But Clinton's argument is too many boxers nowadays, they just want to turn pro and they feel they're entitled to sponsorship and stuff like that. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
Yes, new world. So here's what happens, right? These young kids are online and they'll see a boxer come on and go, big shout out to BoxFit UK for the gloves and stuff, as if they got the gloves for free. You don't get the gloves for free. You've paid for them, but you're trying to make out like you're a big deal because you got your gloves from them. And so these things start to creep in, and like these young lads start trying to, hustle. And there's some amateurs who are sponsored. That's what I'm trying to say. That's mad. Some amateurs have sponsors. The
Which
better
I don't
ones.
agree with, Ted. I don't agree with that. You know that, don't you?
Uh,
I don't mind the expenses, but no. That's for pro sponsors, isn't it? Come on.
no. If you're a really good amateur, I get it, because that might be the final push you need to fulfill your potential. So I get it if you're a really, really good amateur. Like if you're a guy that's targeting the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games, fair enough, because that's a good news story for any company. Because remember, Russ, a lot of these Olympians, like, they'll be sponsored too, right? And they're in niche sports, but because they're going to be at the Olympics, it's a good news story because that company can boast about it in its marketing and media. Look, we've got 2 Olympians, that we've helped and so forth. So it works both ways. I personally don't mind someone getting something that they've earned. So if you've earned it, take it. But a lot of these kids now are mediocre and they're asking for people to sponsor them. And I'm like, for what?
I know.
What are you going to give me? That's my question. What are you going to give me? And they don't seem to know the difference between sponsorship and a charitable donation.
Well, it's like Max is me pal, but Max was trying to get a bit of sponsorship a bit back, and I was thinking, well, Max, you're not active enough for sponsorship, and you're on 6 figures a year anyway. So why would you need sponsorship? So people like Max don't need it, do they? I understand them kids coming through, like Dempsey Whale and people like that. They need sponsorship and all that, don't they? But
why? But why do they need sponsorship?
I don't know, because they're starting out, aren't they? And he works part time in a cafe or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I just think if I think Dempsey's about 12 and 0, isn't he now? So he'd be, if he hadn't got a sponsorship, he should be getting it now, shouldn't he? Now he's ready for
No,
it.
no, I don't even know who he is. I don't care.
As a boxer,
Like you see what I mean? Like I don't care. Like Dempsey, like, you couldn't come to me as a 12-0 guy and I'd be like, okay, cool, but what's in it for me?
yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Whereas if you're a kid on GB, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see your argument there. But why should all that GB lot who are turning pro get all the sponsorship? What about all these kids that, turn pro at 18, 19 and got a decorated GB amateur career? What about them kids?
That's the food chain, Russ.
I
It's like
understand
saying,
that. It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
well, it's like saying, why do the Rotherham players get paid less than the Chelsea players?
That's for
They're
shit.
just better.
That's for
Yeah,
power.
yeah. The Chelsea players are just better, and the GB boxers are generally better than the 18-year-old who's turning over.
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. Fury USYK, does it happen, yes or no?
I don't think it happens this year because I don't think Fury's in camp, and you'd want to be in camp like now, really.
Listen, he isn't in camp, but they're not going to come out and say that, are they? He's not in camp. Bricktop, stop telling whoppers. You know, and I know. There's no training going on at the moment with that lot. Just so you know, Bricktop, so stop spinning yarns. Unbelievable,
No,
aren't they? Absolute yarns at the spin. Right. So the talk now is Joshua against Usyk, innit? That's the big talk at the moment. What do you think to that?
don't want to see it again. I think it's a closer fight this time if it happens, but AJ's got to get past Dubois. Let's not overlook Dubois because Joshua hasn't been tested since Usyk. He's had very safe fights. He hasn't had someone who's actually tried to take his head off. And if you remember, Jermaine Franklin didn't do badly against him, and Dubois is no Jermaine Franklin. I promise you that.
Yeah. Frotcher's come out and said Joshua's going to need a baseball bat to do USYK. What do you think?
Mate, just number one, thanks to Carl Froch. You know, a couple of his clips, mate, they took my, it's mad, Russ. It took my Facebook page from like 2,500 to 15,000 followers.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's just Froch, mate. Froch is the gift that keeps on giving, man. So thanks to him for just, you know what I mean, elevating the game.
Yeah, he's done all right, hasn't he? He's got the platform, hasn't he, Carl, now? He's plodded on.
Just beefing with Joshua, beefing with Khan, anyone.
Well, listen, 2 weeks ago, he came out and said he squashed the beef with Joshua. 2 weeks later, look what's just happened. That's what did I say? There's no beef squashed. He's just playing everybody, Carl, isn't he? And pissing his pants behind camera at everybody, reacting to his reaction to other reactions. It's a load of shit. There's no fighting going on, is there? All these fighting men. Like John Fury, big fighting man. Been hard at, is it 9 years today? He's been hard at Nick, hasn't he? 9 years today. He's been out 9 years, and all he's done is slapped Hasif Valley. That's it. That's all he's done.
And headbutt the Ukrainian kid.
A 5'4" man. Slapped a 5'4" man. That's all he's done. Before that, he poked somebody's eyeball out in here with a 5'3" man. You see where I'm coming from? See where I'm going with this? Big fighting men that don't fight.
There you go, man.
Well, 9 years today. Where is he? Where's Big John? He's left his imprint on the boxing community in the last 9 years. But the man's missing. The man's gone. The man's running. The man's hiding. He's like when Mr. T were calling out Rocky, innit? Global Lang. Right, so we spoke about USYK. We spoke about Joshua Dubois. Wilder's done. I want to speak about Jack Massey. Why is he not getting opportunities? What's going on there? I don't get that. The former world champion cruiserweight steps up, gives Parker a good fight. Now Parker's the blue-eyed boy. What about Jack Massey? I don't get it. What's happened there, do
you? His next fight will be key. If he's not being primed for a Billum Smith fight, then what's the point in having him? Do you know what I mean? Like, Ben Shalom's essentially got all the cruiserweights you'd want on one channel, one platform, and it seems that Massey's just being kind of put to the side.
Yeah.
So maybe the best answer for that would be asking Joe. I don't know. Well, I don't know if Joe knows something we don't, but I'll always look at Jack as, if you're not at your best, Jack's the worst guy you can fight, because he will always show up and do what he does, and he always do it to a high level. And if you're not ready for that, mate, it's a long night for you.
Southpaw as well, Terry. Southpaw as well.
Is he?
I think he is, isn't he, Jack? Is he Southpaw?
Nah, he's orthodox.
Is he? He was fighting Southpaw in Joe's gym last time I went down there.
There you go, you see. Man of many talents.
Him and Lawrence, they put some right shifts in down there then. Lawrence gets stuck in.
Yeah, that's what you want, right?
Yeah, that's what you want. But I hope Jack gets a chance, because he comes across as a decent kid. Even though he fell out with Dennis, right? He still comes across as a decent lad. But Dennis falls out with everybody, really, if it's money related. But I think Dennis did well for him because he got him a world title, didn't he? Right, so he delivered. But if you're being managed by somebody else, sometimes fighter don't get the same what was on, does he really? You know.
So here's my kind of take on it.
Sure.
Maybe it's the Kevin Marie thing that's holding him back, because.
Well, he's manager, isn't he? He's the one pulling all the strings.
Yeah. So how much leverage has he really got to be making certain fights? Has he got Callum Simpson as well?
Yeah, I think so. You've got to look at it like this, right? If you're getting 50 grand for a defence of a world title with Dennis, and each manager is getting 30%, let's say hypothetically he's on 30. So if he's getting 15 of that, he's thinking, well, if I can get Parker to fight Massey on Sky, and he'll get what? Say a couple $100 grand, yeah? His 30% goes from 15 grand to 60 grand. So the manager then thinks, well, but it's not about defending that belt, it's about money and I want my slice of cake. That's how it looks to me. Because if you've got a world title at a certain weight, wouldn't you want to defend that world title and consolidate? Or would you just want to jump in with Parker, step up a weight, then you've got to come back down a weight? I don't get that. That's dangerous. We have weight divisions for a reason. So I think they went for that Parker fight because the manager, you, Kevin Marie, were thinking, well, my cut's going to be better off 200 grand than 50 with Dennis. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but if you look at Jack and you go, okay, you're the IBO champ, but who's he going to fight? Like while he remember he was always on the outside looking in. So for him, maybe the important thing was to get on the inside and see what he can do from there. The Parker fight wasn't too bad. I don't think Parker's heavy-handed enough to damage Jack. So I think he did all right in that. And it's about now because he's fought Chamberlain, he's beaten Chamberlain. So there's no reason to be at British level anymore, right? Because he's already fought guys like Riakporhe. He's done his British level thing. So now it's like, do you put Massey and Billum Smith in a fight? That's going to be the question for Ben Shalom.
Yeah.
Do you do that in Manchester? Because that if you're going to gamble on something doing numbers in Manchester, then that would be it, right?
Jack Massey against Billum Smith's a good fight in Manchester, and I think they sell it out that. I do.
Yeah. Two tough men just going at it.
You get them on Sky fighting Jack Massey and Billum Smith. You get Crawler there with a couple of his fighters on. You get a couple more Joe G's on there, a couple of Pat Barretts on there. And before you know where you are, you've got a couple of Steve Woods, or you've got a good little stable there, haven't you? A good show, haven't you? A local show.
Yeah.
I think anyway. But I just think that he's had a ordeal, Jack Massey, that's all. I just think I'm not saying that because I get on Joe.
And also, and I'm sure if you spoke to Jack, he'd tell you his career is just a collection of just really unfortunate decisions made at the wrong times. You know, sometimes you can just you can do three things and you're just wrong on all three of them. And then you go, shit, that's a bad run. And then one of them you get right, and then you start flying again.
Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're coming with. I see where you're coming from. Okay. Moses Itauma. A lot said about him. He's pulled about all over the place at the moment, isn't he? Left, right, and centre with all media attention and interviews and all that. Do you see this kid going all the way, Terry? Because I do.
So I talk to the lads that train with him day in, day out. They're impressed. Like, because when he first came to the gym, they were like, we're going to test him and see what he's made of, right? Which is what happens in the gym. Yeah. And I was talking to the guys and they're just like, yeah, he's the real deal. Like, they're like, yep, he's the real deal. Great counter puncher, strong, hits heavy enough that he can do damage, but he hasn't really filled out his frame yet. And when he does, that's going to be a problem. My only question is, see, when you were young and you throw a load of punches like that, how much wear and tear is he accumulating as a young man? So is this going to be someone who just has a short career? Because he does a lot of work in the ring. And when you're that size, man, like there's a wear and tear price you have to pay. So it's about how much of that is he paying right now? And what's that going to do for his career? But in terms of where he's at right now, he's in a good place. They just need to manage him carefully, right? Because we saw what happened to Jared Anderson. So you don't want that to happen again.
Well, Jared Anderson's and that Frank Sanchez, they're done now, aren't they? They've been exposed. Are they the last lot, Terry, these next generation Americans? That's it? Is that it now from that lot over there? Isn't it?
I don't know why they took the fight. I genuinely don't know who said that would be a good idea. I told everyone, just go and put some money on a Bukoli stoppage.
Well, Billy Nelson's top of food chain now, isn't he? Lagging down on Penthouse and all them that said that he was full of shit, isn't he? Billy Nelson, he must be loving it.
Yeah, we were all wrong, man. We were like, nah, Bukoli's not as good as he's saying. Nah, there's no way. I always just remember what he did to my mate Dom Akinladi. When I saw that, I just said, people don't normally do that to Dom. Maybe he is that good. When I saw that, I said, got to keep an eye on this guy.
I saw Dave Allen a few years ago. I don't speak to him now, do I hardly? But saw him a few years ago, and I said, "Is he any good, Bacoli?" He was like, he said, "He's the best guy he'd ever sparred." But I don't know why he didn't say that on YouTube. Because he'd already sparred USYK then, and Fury and Josh, and he said, "Bacoli's the best guy he's ever sparred." I was like, "Oh, well, what about all them others?" I was shocked. He said, "He's that good."
He's hard to beat because he's big, he's strong, he seems to have a solid chin, and he punches in combinations. He's like a better version of Joe Joyce.
Yeah. He's like a Joe Joyce size and height and reach and everything and power and that, but he's a bit of a better mover, any kind of thing.
So he throws better combinations. I don't think he's a better mover because he was getting tagged. And so the thing is, what's going to happen?
Tagged, doesn't he, more than Bacoli?
Probably about the same.
Reckon?
Yeah, it's just that Bacoli hasn't fought the guys that Joe's fought. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what will So I always wonder, what will Bacoli do when someone is of the same size as him and they're hitting him?
Well, we're going to see, aren't we? But Bacoli now, he's done Yoka, he's done Anderson, and they were basically putting with him to get rid of Bacoli, weren't they? Bacoli's done him. Olympic gold medalist has done Anderson, who's supposed to be next big noise. So if he don't get his chance now, Martin Bacoli, I'm going to think to myself, well, what are we doing? What more has he got to prove? Now he's got to be given a world title shot, that kid, hasn't he?
See, I said at the time, Frank and Eddie basically just gave Shalom a call and said, look, we need to get rid of a few guys. Yeah. That way we can keep all the money in-house. And who do we need to get rid of? Frank Sanchez already taken care of, so that's fine. Then they needed to get rid of Anderson and Yoka. Once they got rid of those guys, we know that all the big fights are going to happen kind of between Matchroom, Queensbury, and Sky, right? That's where we know the heavyweight action is going to be for a little while now, and that's what they wanted, and they've achieved it.
Well, they've done well. Billy Nelson's done well to get him in position. I know he's been shouting and banging drum about his fighter, which you'd expect anyway. But I think he's done well for Bacoli, Billy Nelson. So Billy Nelson, I'm going to tip my hat to you, kid. You've done well for Bacoli. You agree with that on that, don't you, Terry?
Yeah, he stuck by him when others might not have done, when he wasn't making a lot of money off Bacoli. But I don't think Billy needs the money, does he? So he was able to do that. So kudos to him.
He's like Joe Jean, they don't spend now, do they? They've got thousands and don't spend. Hey, listen, they put the time in. Hey, listen, if I go to Joe's tomorrow, if they can come and film tomorrow, you go, yeah, I'll go up there, and if they're all there, fighters. If I get there, he said, be here at 8. If I go 7:45, he's already there. He's already in there, setting everything up. And I guarantee you, if it lasts 1 hour, right late at night. So it's a full-on job, isn't it?
Yeah. The way he does it, it's like a factory in there. So yeah, it's going to be a long old slog.
And what they're doing in there now, the trainers, the kids that have been world champions, your Crawlers, your Quigs. Well, Crawler's got his fighter and we're world champion, hasn't he? Quig trains some prince's kid in Saudi or Riyadh, whatever. They fly Quig out there, don't they? Give him a driver, put him in a pad and everything. All he's got to do is train somebody's kid. So he's created like a Liverpool boot room, hasn't he?
But that's what you want, though. You want a legacy, right? So you want to be able to say, well, I did my bit. And not only did I do my bit, but I looked after those that I trained. Because that's the real story here, right? Joe's looked after the people who are loyal to him.
There you go. And them kids who he's took to world titles, your Crawlers and your Quigs, they weren't fancied to do all what they really past British level.
No, and Joe figured out, look, I've got really limited guys here. So how do we get it cracking? We just make them super fit.
Like they did well. He did well for Callum Smith as well, don't forget, didn't he? Come on. And Beefy.
All the Smith brothers, to be fair.
Paul Smith couldn't even make weight against Ward. It's Paul Smith's weight issue when he fought Ward. It was about half a stone, wasn't it? Isn't that the highest ever weight miss that anybody from this country's had in like 80 odd years or something? it's a Don Cockrell or something. It's Paul Smith missing weight by that much. Apparently it's the worst. Has anybody, Kent, can you find out, because you're into all this, who's missed weight by the most in this country? Obviously can't count heavyweight, just go from small weights up to cruiserweight. And I think it's Paul Smith has missed the weight by more. You don't miss weight by half a stone, do you? What is all that? Half a stone?
No, I can understand. Like if you had done that in the UK, I'd be angry. But you know, sometimes you go to America and your body is so shocked at everything being different that it just almost stops. So the food's different, the air's different. You know, everything's just different. The way the water tastes is different, and so that can stress your body out. Sleeping on an unfamiliar bed stresses the body out. All these little things can add up. So I can see how it could happen. I'm not saying that it should have happened, but I can see how it could have happened.
Okay, do you want to go on to part two, pal?
No worries, mate.
Do you know part two? Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. I think we'll have to get in close for part two.